Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our panel discussion on increasing attractiveness to the GI scheme. My name is Magdalena and I work in the Polish Ministry of Agriculture. It's nice to be a part of this very interesting panel. As you know, there is a geographical imbalance in take-up of geographical indications in the European Union. 6 member states account for almost 80% of all European GIs. What are the factors that increase or reduce the attractiveness of the geographical indication scheme? How can we find ways to enforce the take-up in the medium and low user member states? We will discuss discrepancies of the use and support of GI initiatives among the member states and the participation of GI producers in the promotion programs. Are GIs an effective tool to contribute to rural development programs? How public administration may encourage producers to be part of geographical indication scheme? Let's hope we find some ideas to cover those questions. Our speakers will be Péter, Head of Department of Wine and Horticulture in the Ministry of Agriculture in Hungary, and he will give us a competent authority overview. And then we'll have Mr. Jesús Mora Cayetano from Conferencia Española de Consejos, Reguladores, Vitivinícolas, who will explain us some Spanish experience in combining geographical indications in the rural development programs. And finally, Ms. Chiara Cecchetto from the Promotion and the Project Management, Consorzio di Tutela di Lambrusco di Modena, will present us some examples of the use of GI in the promotion programs. But before we start our panel, please let me introduce some rules how we are going to manage our virtual reality. Today we will hear 3 interventions, and as I mentioned. After each presentation, we will have 5 minutes time to ask questions. You may ask questions by pushing raised hand icon in the Zoom application. Please do it in advance so we can unmute you and give you the floor. There is going to be a few second delay, so don't worry, we are not out of the panel, just be patient. Having in mind the time that we have a limited time today, please just ask questions to the panelists and do not give your positions. To comment, you may also use the Q&A option, and we encourage you to do so. This is going to be moderated by our colleagues from the European Commission, so let's hope the discussion will be full and fruitful. As I mentioned, our panel today is quite short, so we don't have time to discuss everything in detail. That is why I would like to invite you already to the panel tomorrow that is going to start at 10:45 a.m. and which is going to be the stakeholders debate and will be a follow-up of our today's discussion. So welcome once again, and I give floor to our first panelist, Péter from the Hungarian Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to all. As the first presenter in this panel, I will provide you some information about the attractiveness of GIs in Hungary and how did we increase it in the recent years. Actually, it is quite hard to measure the attractiveness of GIs, but for sure, the number of GIs could be a good proxy or a good indicator of the attractiveness from the producers' part. So before I start to talk about what we did and how we did, I would like to clarify that the geographical indications, the concept of geographical indication is far broader than just the labeling geographical name on an agricultural product, because as the EU legislation tells us, it contains several factors, and not only the natural factor, but the human factor is very, very important. So when we talk about the attractiveness of GIs, we must not forget that the GI is a complex phenomenon, and that thing makes the work harder, because labeling the place of origin on agricultural products has a very long tradition, and each and every farmer who is proud of their products is usually proud of the origin of the product, and they proudly would label the term on their products. On the other hand, establishing a GI system would mean additional costs, additional administrative burden, and additional rules for them, which may not pay off. So when we have started our work on increasing the number of Hungarian GIs and increasing the potential of our GIs, first we had to find out what we should communicate towards the producers, and actually we found that GIs may mean higher income, a higher income which remains in the place of production, in the place of origin. It means a certain vehicle for the formation of local communities, and strengthening the role of the producers group. And on the other hand, from the point of view of the consumer, it means a credible basis for common marketing, a credible basis for the marketing of an agricultural good. And on the society level, GIs could be a vehicle for preserving production cultures and traditions, for preserving quality agricultural goods for the future. If we look at the big picture, Hungary is a bit lagging, or was lagging behind in the terms of number of GIs. You can see that we have, you will see the actual numbers later, but it's of course it's not a competition, but it's just a view on the big picture that we do have potential for new GIs. So that's why we have launched a GI program, and we have been executing it for more than 5 years now. And this our GI program, which actually has a logo, which is here on the right top corner, has 2 goals. The first goal is increase the number of protected geographical indications, whether PDOs or PGIs, in Hungary, because there are, and we know that there must be, and there are new potential GIs in Hungary. And the second goal is to make a better use of the potential of already existing GIs. That is the harder task, I can tell you. So, what were the sources of potential new GIs? Fortunately, we have in Hungary 2 programs that are destined to seek specialties and special products that are closely linked to either Hungary or their origin. The first is the Hungaricum movement, which actually collects all the national all the values of Hungary on local, regional, and national level. Now we have more than I guess 70 Hungaricums. Not all of them are agri-food products, and the other program is run by our ministry as well. It's called the Tradition Taste Regions program, which is, as its name suggests, its goal is to collect all the agri-food products that could be connected to their origin. Within the GI program, we have several activities. The first one is providing information about GIs. As I have told you, the concept of geographical indication is far beyond just labeling it, far beyond the technological rules. As an economist, I prefer the economic point of view and approach, which is about the added value and the price premiums that could be preserved by using the GI. It was quite hard to find channels to contact producers. So that's why we avoided. It was back in 2015 and not in 2020. So we tried to avoid the online forums, and we preferred the actually going there and speaking personally to people. So we organized dozens of forums around the country with 50 to 60 attendees, most of them producers. And we created a website for producers and a website also for consumers, which presents all the Hungarian GIs from the consumer point of view. Unfortunately, these websites are available only in Hungarian, but we are working on the translation, the English translation, in case of the consumer website. The second task was the exploration of the potential new PDOs and PGIs. It was an office work, and the next one was field trips to producer groups. That means that we did not expect them to come to the capital. We would rather go to visit them at their place of work, place of production, and thus getting better information on the whole process. And the third one is the third group of our activities was providing technical assistance, either before the concrete applications, like producing guidelines, or either after submitting the applications with very, very, how should I say, dense technical assistance and very proactive technical assistance from our part. And finally, we try to organize some events with prizes to raise awareness on the GIs within the public. We have established the community prize for traditional products to somehow give something to those people who are connected to our program. So, what were the challenges? What were the difficulties that we have faced during our work? First, find GIs, new GIs worth registering. That means that of course, we have a goal to increase the number, but not at all costs. So it is a very important filter for us to find GIs that are really worth registering. And there were some cases when we said no to potential applicants when they reached us and they told what they want. And sometimes we suggested another ways of solutions, like traditional specialty goods, traditional specialty guarantees, or trademarks. In each case, we had to find at least one person who was the Mr. or Miss GI, who was the human behind the whole operation among the producers. That is the role that is called in the literature as institutional entrepreneur. And we had to give a great part of education for the producers. During the procedure, as I have already said, we have provided a very severe technical assistance, and a problem occurred when we had to do analytical tests for the product specifications, in which we found some lack of financial resources on the parts of participants, applicants. And after that, we have now some successful stories, but still it is hard to make the producers understand that after getting a registration for the GI, the story has not ended. That means that they do have to make activities to make a good use of their protection. So what are the results? In 2015, we had 56 registered GIs. As of today, we have 64, but I have to tell you that two new wine GIs were the registration of two new wine GIs have started before the launch of our program, to be honest. But still, we have a lot of new applications under EU scrutiny. As of today, the number is 20. And I hope that the number of new GIs will expand even this year, because we have one which is now under the examination procedure. So we have really, I think that we have really augmented the number of GIs. So the first goal is more or less accomplished, but still we have a lot of tasks ahead of us in the second goal, that is to make a better use of GIs. This is the list of the new Hungarian food GIs that were registered within the program. There are 2 fish, a cheese, and a vegetable and fruit. And there are 3 new wines, sorry. And Chopak in the middle is the one that will be a good example for the other newcomers. So what about good practices? I just want to highlight 2 examples here. The first is a fruit. It's called Újfehértói Megy. It's sour cherry from Újfehértó. Actually, the opposition procedure is ending in December, and we expect to be this name to be registered this year. It is this GI comes from the TTR program. We have found a very powerful producer group locally who are already operating a GI with a Magdalena, which is registered, in 2014, and about the special knowledge, the local knowledge. We have to mention that there is a research institute for horticulture in Cecchetto, which can be found in the eastern part of Hungary. So there's a good producer group, there's special knowledge linked to the territory, and there's a good tradition of production of the product. The second one is Csopak. It's a vine name, and it's protected at EU level since this year, since the summer of this year. And this is a very good example what we want to have with GIs in our vine sector. Actually, the situation, the starting situation was that there was an existing PDO called Balatonfüred Csopak with a very wide range of varieties and quality levels, and all the three colors of vine. But there was a quite in the beginning a small then an enlarging circle of producers who produced the Csopak vine and started to define stricter rules for the use of the name Csopak, which didn't really appear in the product specification of Balatonfüred Csopak. And first they have evolved. They developed the product, and it took like 5 or 6 years. And they developed the rules that they wanted later to be included in the product specification. And that is how they explored what could be the really special character of their wine. And they found also that they have to position the product higher than other products of the region. So they defined stricter quality level rules than the regional GI. And there were two very enthusiastic people, winemakers, who were cooperating and who were forming the producer group and leading the producer group. And they could use the infrastructure provided by the system of wine communities. And that is why I think it's a good example. Csopak, it's a good example for all the new potential wine PDOs in Hungary. I have to mention that it is this site is located next by the lake Balaton, very fashionable touristic destination now. Talking about our future goals, we found out that we have to develop the legislative framework. That means that we have to take care of all the disciplines that are connected to GIs. We have to find or establish management roles and tools for the producer groups, and as the example, the French example of organisme de défense et de gestion suggests, we would like to establish GI management organizations. That is an legal institution for the producer groups. And we found out that we have to find a way to raise fundraising for the goal of legal protection and the enforcing of legal protection. So as a conclusion to my presentation, GIs have multiple dimensions, and it is quite hard for us, for the ministry, to make the producers understand the concept. But once we have found a way to communicate them, it becomes a lot easier. The collective nature of GIs slows down all the process, and we must not hurry the local processes, because we have to be sure that all local producer groups have evolved their decisions and their rules. But there has to be a leader of every group. So we have to find an institutional entrepreneur in each case of a new GI, who will lead the whole process on the local level. And we have to provide technical assistance. That is very thin ice. I mean that we must not take the responsibility to make decisions instead of producers, but we have to formulate all the framework that is needed to produce a good quality technical specification. So thank you for your attentions, and I'm ready for the questions. And I see that there are 2 questions.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Péter. Yes, we have 2 questions. When we have time, yes, the intervene from Francesco Manneo who asked for intervention. If we have time, yes, it would be very nice to hear some proposal for the growth of GIs. But we have also a question directed to you, Péter, from Christian Jochum from Austria, who wrote down on our question and answer panel as following. There are too many attractive alternatives for regional specialties, for example, with support from rural development. Is this also your experience in Hungary?
As an alternative for GIs, well, actually, I need to ask back how did Christian understand his question. Do you mean that what do you mean on alternatives? Alternatives for GIs, for marketing, as a marketing tool, or as a protection tool?
Okay. And we have also another question from Elżbieta. Christian has
as a marketing tool, yeah.
Yes, as marketing tool, yes.
Yes, trademarks are very attractive, and people really like to use trademarks. And one of when we have contacted a potential GI user, he told us that the ideal number of producers within a group is always odd, and 3 is just too much. So usually people in Hungary are very individual, and agriculture producers are more than individual than the average, individualists than the average. So it's very hard to promote a mutual collective tool. And yes, trademarks are very attractive here in Hungary as well. And talking about the rural development program, we have the measure for the promotion of quality schemes within our rural development program, which will be launched next year, early next year. And and there are the GIs as EU quality schemes, but there will be some trademarks as well within this framework as national quality schemes notified to the EU.
Okay, thank you, Peter. We've got another question from Elżbieta, which is how awareness of GI's idea has improved due to the ministry program.
Actually, it's very hard to set indicators, and we unfortunately we did not really conduct the baseline study when we have launched the program. But there is one way to measure it. In the beginning, at our events, at our forums, participants have usually have mistaken GIs and trademarks, like the two were the same thing. And now we don't experience this. So that's that is among producers. Things are starting to get clearer. In case of consumers, we have high expectations from our rural development program that I've already mentioned, that we will launch we would like to launch the promotion of quality schemes within the rural development program, and I think that would raise a huge attention among the consumers.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. So there are no other questions directed to you. So I would like to invite now Chiara Cecchetto from Italy to present some experience in GI promotion programs. Chiara, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm Chiara Cecchetto, head of the promotion and project management of Consorzio Tutela del Lambrusco di Modena. Let me thank the conference organizers and the commission for this invitation. Actually, we are here to present a sort of good practice in using and taking advantage of RDP funds in Emilia-Romagna region to promote GIs and specifically PDOs and PGIs wines. Just a few information about the Consorzio. Here we are. The Consorzio Tutela del Lambrusco di Modena is a non-profit producer organization gathering 41 associates. They are mainly wine cooperatives, winemakers, of course, and bottling companies. Was founded in 1999 with the aim of coordinating, managing, protecting, and of course promoting four main protected designations of origin, which are Lambrusco di Sorbara, Lambrusco Salamino di Santa Croce, Lambrusco Grasparossa di Castelvetro, e Lambrusco di Modena. As you may know, Lambrusco is one of the most spread wines all over the world, actually. So it's a real challenge for us to promote the protected designations, actually. As I said, we are here to present our experience with some projects that we implemented thanks to 3 calls, actually, that were launched by the Emilia-Romagna region, thanks to the Rural Development Program, which, as you may know, it's one of the main instruments actually for the implementation of the European Rural Development Policy. So the calls were addressing priority 3, so the food chain organization and risk management, under a specific measure for quality schemes. And dealing with the focus area 3A, which is improving the competitiveness of primary producers, as you can read, by better integrating them into the agri-food chain. As Péter said before, actually the involvement of producers is one of the key factors in promoting also the GIs, and it is a key issue for the Consorzio. Actually, we are here to present the Emilia-Romagna experience because the rural development program of this region is strongly focused on GIs. As maybe you already know, Emilia-Romagna region is the region both at Italian and European level with the largest number of GIs. So, but we have, of course, other rural development programs in Italy at regional level, and each one is very well focused on the needs and the priorities that each geographical area has. Actually, the experience was very interesting, very challenging. The submission phase is a rather complex phase. We also share with you that the implementation phase has a very high administrative burden, so it's quite understandable that usually only well-organized beneficiaries and potential applicants are facing and applying for these funds. This is not a way to not to help maybe smaller or less developed producers organizations to take advantage of these funds, but it's just a way also to encourage, let's say, more organized structures to work with the smaller ones. So the region somehow is encouraging beneficiaries to build partnerships. And actually, the partnerships are usually done among producer organizations, producer groups, consortia, agricultural cooperatives, interprofessional associations. And the partnership is built in order to tackle the objectives of the call, which are raising awareness about quality schemes among consumers and also operators, traders, inform about the advantages and the deep meaning of quality schemes, communicate also all the environmental value and the food safety features of quality schemes, contribute to better integrating actually the food chain and encouraging as well the producers to enter and to access new markets at the EU level and to go beyond the national borders. The co-funding rate in Emilia-Romagna is limited, let's say, to 70% of eligible costs. So it's a very interesting opportunity. Actually, what we did was to take the leadership of some partnerships. So we decided to submit a first project to the 2016 call, actually. And we started to work with the Consorzio per la tutela e la promozione dei vini DOP Reggiano e Colli di Scandiano e Canossa, Consorzio Tutela Vini Emilia, and a food, let's say, Consorzio, which is the Produttori Amari e Lambrusco, that it's cherry producers organizations of Modena. In this way, we started to work together. We had this wine element and the food one. Once we ended up with our project, we decided to take advantage of all the experience we did and to present a new project limited to the wine consortia as you can see that was implemented in 2019 and 2020. And now, just last month, we have decided to submit another project, which is now under assessment. which will be hopefully implemented next year until 2022 with the Consorzio del Prosciutto di Modena. Well, the average duration of our projects is around 2 years, so that's a limited time, I must say, to implement all the activities. And the budget, well, each project has a different budget according also to the resources that were allocated in each call for proposals, as you can imagine. So we had the chance to have, let's say, more interesting budget in the first call with the 250,000 euro, and then we also had the opportunity to focus in more specific activities with some budgets of 120,000 euro. The main target country we have always underlined in our projects, it's Germany, which is the main EU market for the wine sector. And we have developed our activities according to main target groups. The consumer one, of course, so involving shoppers, consumers, foodies, and wine lovers. And we have also did a great work to reach the so-called knowledge multipliers that are journalists, bloggers, influencers, as well as market operators, traders. These target groups were reached through 3 main activities that are also the eligible activities of the call of the program, which are the promotional material, which is transversal activities. So the production of material, communication tools, communication kits, advertising on media, social media. Then we have 2 other main activities. The one most devoted to traders, operators, which is the participation to trade fairs and exhibitions. Actually, in our case, since we were focusing on Germany, we took part to the Provine International Fair, which is the most famous, actually, and most relevant exhibition at international level on the wine sector. And then we have organized seminars, info days, and workshops that were specifically organized for journalists and media partners and for consumers. So actually, to develop these activities, there is a strong need of a promotional strategy and let me say, a parallel emotional path to get the audience involved and to become a sort of active part in the process of discovery, the GIs. And this is the only way that we think is effective to reach and to achieve the main goal of our project, which is actually to increase the knowledge and raise awareness about the deep characteristics of our quality agri-food products. Knowledge and awareness are basically fundamental, they are strategical, and thanks to the knowledge and the information to the consumers specifically, we can reduce the importance of the price component as a factor motivating the choice of buying a quality product or not. And this is a key issue, especially now in this pandemic that we are living, when people, due to an increasing economic crisis, are facing problems and are now choosing maybe low-cost food, for example, rather than a quality food that, of course, is more expensive, but it's very important that now they are aware of what they are buying, what they are eating, for example. So, of course, as a specific objectives of the project, we are just supporting the spread of quality products. It's what we actually try to do. And as I said, in order to enlarge the knowledge about these quality products. The only way is to have a specific action approach, including 2 moments, so an educational session, really to meet the information needs of the market, but also of the audience. And at the same time, this emotional part I was mentioning before, which is the product tasting. It's very, very important to involve the people, to make them understand what you are talking about, what is behind that quality product, the production method. And it's very important to have, besides the Consorzio staff, also the producers, to get them involved in this process. In terms of results, what we got actually. So we, of course, increased the visibility of our GIs on media, consumers and trade media and magazines, for example. And even if we are not directly involved in the sale process, actually we could collect some data regarding the let's say the good points in the selling of the GIs and the PDO and PGI wines. I have here a figure for you. Actually, it represents Italian sparkling wines and the trend in exportation in Germany, to Germany. Don't be upset, sorry, if I'm not talking about specifically Lambrusco, but when we talk about Italian sparkling wines, actually we have 2 main wines, which are Prosecco and Lambrusco. So somehow this is really a representative data and information for our project. So as you can see, we have a positive trend, especially for PDO wines in the German market. And maybe less positive for the PGIs, but anyway, interesting. By the way, we are now expecting and we are waiting for the last data for the current year, and we know that unfortunately the pandemic will really affect in a negative way these trends, but of course we keep on working on that. So another very important result, which is a sort of indirect one, is that thanks to the cooperation between producer organizations, big ones and smaller ones, the entities, so the beneficiaries, really realized that they could optimize their resources, and they could really have a more effective strategy, communication strategy, if they work together. So they strengthen actually their relations. And in the end, by sharing also the staff and the personnel, 2 wine consortia out of 3 decided to merge into one big producer group. They also include a very, very small consortium, which is Consorzio Tutela Vini del Reno, that you can see on the slide. And starting from January the 1st of next year, we will have only one consortium, Consorzio Tutela del Lambrusco, and this will really be it's a sort of revolution in our sector, but will be the way to optimize and to promote the GIs in a very structured way. So these are my conclusions, which are actually also the challenges that we faced during our experience. So first of all, first challenge, make the most of the partnership. It's very hard to work together. This is nothing new, but it's extremely useful also to build a communication strategy for a number of quality schemes and quality products. In this way, you can better represent and talk about a territory and of the origin of those products, and to make the audience understand maybe in a more effective way what the values behind the quality products are. And this is against, of course, the efforts to just promote one GI in a very in a lonely way. Second challenge is the producers' commitment and participation. It's very difficult. It's an issue for us to involve them in the promotion activities, because of course they are always very focused on the production and less on the communication and information about their products. So somehow to get them during our activities is very important, to make them understand that they have to communicate and to explain, to talk about their products. And this is still actually, as I said, a challenge for us. Last point, it's the results, let's say, capitalization. So we implementing 2 projects. We now have submitted another one, always focusing on Germany, because you need to be constant. You need to be very well focused on your goal. And it's maybe less effective if you spread all your efforts among a number of target countries, for example. But, by the way, we are just developing small projects of promotion. Yes, they are very interesting. They are useful for our producers, and somehow they gave us the chance to talk about our GIs and to promote them. But we are aware that we are a drop in the ocean. So what we really hope, also thanks to this conference, is that GI's policy will be a concrete, let's say, practical also instrument to support our efforts of producers organizations. And for this, actually, we thank all of you for the contribution that you will give to this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiara, very much. There are some questions for you on the chat, on Q&A panel. Please, could you work on them with our colleagues from the European Commission, as you have no time to answer them on public by speaking. Jesús, are you connected with us?
Yes, I am. I don't know if you are able to.
Yes, we've got only like, sorry for the issues with the connections earlier on. We've got only 7 minutes left. Could you be very concise? Sorry for this inconvenience, but we have to stick to the time as another session starts just after us.
I see. So I don't know. I'll do my best. Let's see what we can do. And sorry
Thank you very much.
You can see me properly, right? And listen to me.
Yes, you please start.
I'll go ahead. I just wanted to talk about attractiveness of GIs for producers and how to increase it, because there is a way to go in that sense, and how they can consider also rural development tool as a way to grow towards producers and consumers. Next, please. Those are the blocks I go through during my presentation. Next, please. Let's start just with a little context. A GI is born by a clear identification made by a group of producers who identifies what they do really well and differently with regard to other areas. They identify the know-how for it, and all that is linked to natural and human factors belonging to a concrete area. That process has been repeated 3,700 times in EU's history, which is the number of GIs. Next, please. So, according to that number, there must be something positive coming from it for the producers. Next, please. Let's talk about the attractiveness of GIs for producers. First of all, we can say that the price average of GI products is significantly higher than non-GI products. One, origin, quality, and differentiation become guarantees and a competitive advantage of these products. GIs control every phase of grape and wine production processes. They guarantee traceability, and that helps to increase consumer confidence. And they make a service, they provide a service of market access and consolidation, very important, above all for the SME producers. Next, please. They also provide important information and advisory about international and national markets and about public policies. We can highlight that the best associated and well-structured sectors nowadays are also the best at communicating their necessities and interests, as we can check above all in increases in period prices. They also make efforts and add resources in communication and marketing that help to the visibility of all the operators registers. Next, please. Let's move to the second part of the presentation. Next. First of all, we're going to be talking about a little bit about how increase the use of GIs by the producers. First of all, the more the authorities progress in setting easier and faster modification procedures of the specifications, the better for everyone in the GI. GIs reach every operator. They have a wide representativeness. That's very useful for two purposes: for the producers to have a clear idea of regulation that affects them, and for the public authorities to know the necessities of producers better. We see also that media and consumers pay more and more attention to what the product of a GI guarantee, which is origin and quality. Next, please. How to get a wider awareness on GIs among consumers, producers, and public authorities. We think that the governing bodies of GIs, according to their collective beneficiary condition, could be prioritized in terms of scoring when talking about access to public aids, and public authorities could make also them free of some limitation thanks to that condition. GIs include, in many cases, most of the operators of an area, SMEs and big ones also. It is difficult to understand sometimes what is the place that EU and national authorities assign to GIs. Therefore, it will be worth it to think about it together to determine it. We see as a very important thing to differentiate labels better. Throughout the last years, labels are more and more similar of non-GI and GI products, and relations between trademarks and GIs more and more complex. We are talking about wine products, obviously. Next, please. We feel there is regulation and control missing on the online world, and that affects the protection. Considering also GIs as a red line, as EU does right now when negotiating international trade agreements, is a very positive side. And we feel that there is lack of official reports and rigorous data towards the sector and media. Next, please. Nowadays, as you probably, well, as you feel, efforts in Europe and member states are more and more focusing on environmental protection. We know and fighting against climate change. In short and middle term, it will be like that, and in long term, hopefully. So GIs do work to protect that, also to protect the environment, and it will be. We should be able to make that work more visible. Empowering GIs for us is empowering collective structures and civil society. And thirdly, next, please. I'll go into my third block. Next, please. For us, GIs can increase, but producers can use better GIs, or awareness on GIs can increase through a better integration into rural development. GIs traditionally paid more attention to market measures pillars in CAP, but they should be paying more attention to the rural development also. But authorities should look at GIs as enabling and intermediating agents to boost projects on innovation, green and digital transitions, sustainable and quality food, etc. They are based on local human capital and local entrepreneurship, and therefore they empower local activity. And GIs could be allies in the new CAP model. They can boost more sustainable and elaboration processes among their members. Next, please. I'm about finishing. Here, I can say that GIs can and must work with local authorities and actors to care and boost their rural areas. They can use their institutional efficiency as a service for the local authorities. I mean by institutional efficiency, participatory and transparent structure, their proof capacity to cooperate with the public authority, etc. I'll just go into the conclusions and I finish. Next, please. Next. So what I just want to sum up right now as key point is that obviously rules protect GIs, but this does not always get a reflection in fluid official dialogue with public authorities, and neither as a balanced treatment faced to trademarks. It is true that the GIs don't find easily their place in the world, but sometimes it is their own fault because they underestimate their importance. But some others is authorities' fault or big companies' fault because they show resistance. Do we need more flexibility in law procedures? Yes, but only in terms of bureaucracy and administrative procedures, never when it comes to protection.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Jesús. Thank you, Jesús. We have to stop. We have to stop. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but we are going to be offline in a second, okay? So I would just like to invite every attendee. Thank you. It's more than 100 of them. Thank you for being with us. And due to this limited time, we couldn't develop our discussion as much as we would like to. So I would like to invite you cordially for tomorrow to our panel, to the stakeholders debate. We are going to have another hour to share our experience, to share ideas, and to ask questions. Hope to see you tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. Thank you very much for being with us and looking forward to see you tomorrow. Thank you, Jesús. Sorry for this inconvenience and abrupt interaction.